Today, I'm going to show you how to create a Lomo effect in Lightroom. Hey guys, and welcome to Phlearn. My name is Aaron Nace, and you can find me on phlearn.com, where we make learning fun. And I'm so excited about today's episode because we are creating a Lomo effect in Lightroom. So to start off, what's a Lomo effect? So the Lomo effect gets its name from an inexpensive film camera from Russia called the Lomo LCA. Now the images from this camera are characterized by having kind of like blurry edges with a sharp center, super saturated colors, and a crazy amount of vignetting. Think of it like an OG Instagram. Now, modern camera manufacturers pretty much try to do the exact opposite. They're trying to have this clarity edge to edge, get rid of vignetting, keep colors in an accurate rendition. And I think it's pretty funny that now the Lomo effect has become a popular style and people are actually imitating inexpensive film cameras of the past. So today I'm going to show you how to take those pristine images from your beautiful cameras and make them look old and crappy and beautiful, just like the retro cameras of the past. All right guys, we got a great episode. Let's jump into Lightroom. So the first thing we're doing in Lightroom is importing our image. Now, I'm just going to go to my Finder window and click and drag this image straight into Lightroom. And you guys can download this image on phlearn.com. Just follow the link in the description right down below. So I'm just going to hit add, and in this case this is a JPEG, but this will totally work with your raw photos. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is hit our Develop tab, and everything we're doing here is going to be in the Develop tab. Okay, so first goal first, we want to make the edges look like nice and dark and gritty and saturated. So let's have some fun there. We're going to go in our Develop tab. I'm going scrolling all the way up to the very top. First thing we're going to grab is a radial filter. So let's go ahead and grab a radial filter. Now, when I click there, you can see that this menu pops down. And what that means is within the radial filter, I have access to all these options, which is really, really cool. Now, I'm going to go ahead and hit 0 on these just to zero everything out. And I'm going to click here in my image and drag out. There we go. We're just going to click and drag out, making a nice radial filter. And you want to get pretty large with this. All right, cover up most of your image. There we go. Now I can't see anything yet because all my settings are zeroed out. So I'm going to click on exposure and just drag this down a little bit. Now, what you're seeing here is the center of my image is actually getting darker. I want the opposite. So I'm going to click here where it says invert mask. I'm going to make sure that's unchecked. There we go. Now we're getting the outside of our image is getting a little bit darker. And I want to go ahead and make that a little bit bigger. So let's go ahead and stretch that out vertically and horizontally. I'll just grab the top and then put it right back up there. Okay, so this is a pretty good start. Now I do want to bring my exposure down, but the other thing that I want to do is add color to this vignette, which is really cool. This is something you can only do in a radial or graduated filter. So to add color, I'm going to click here on the very bottom of this dialog where it says color. We're going to click there and I'm going to give it like a nice magenta color. Because after all, this Lomo effect, it was like basically characterized by adding other colors into your images and super saturated colors of that. All right, so here we go. We're going to add our color in. Now keep in mind, you can add any color you want. You can go for like a greenish, you know, the greenish yellow is actually kind of cool in this case. You know what? I'm just going to have fun with it. This is all about having fun, guys, and this is something you can totally do. So we just added our first, there we go, you can kind of see it makes it darker and a little bit green. We added our first radial gradient, and you know what? I'm going to do a second one because I kind of want to. So let's just make this a little bit bigger again. We'll just grab our second one, and I'm going to pull my exposure down a little bit. Let's make sure invert mask is unchecked. We just want to do the edges, and this time I'm going to add some magenta. So we've got magenta and let's go to red. That looks good. So we've got magenta and red towards the edge of our image. All right, we're already looking really good. So let's go ahead and close that down. All right, guys, we're well on our way there. The next step is to add some graduated filters to add even more vignetting. So we're going to click on our graduated filters right over here, and you're going to have access basically to the same information. Now, in this case, I'm going to go ahead and zoom out on my image, okay? I want to go to maybe like 1/8 view. I want to be a little bit smaller so I can see my image as a whole. So we're on our graduated filter. I'm going to click and drag from the edge out here, and we're just going to lower down our exposure so we get just really nice dark edges. There we go. And as I move this around, you can see the effect that it makes on my image. If you want a little bit more feathering, simply click on this slider here and drag it out. There we go. That looks really good. Now I'm going to do the same thing here. Just click and drag on the other side, and it's going to duplicate the effect of my first graduated filter. And I kind of want these to be a little bit uneven. I want it to look like, you know, this is not the perfect camera. This is, you know, it's something that we're, you know, we're kind of imitating like a little bit of a lower quality film camera here. All right, so I'm going to pop some darkness on there. And you know what? I'm going to put some color in here too, because I think this is going to be interesting. Let's put some dark blue in that as well. So you're going to see it's going to lower our lower the exposure and put a little bit of color in there. All right, and we're going to do the same thing right down here. Let's go ahead and feather that out just a little bit more. All right, so you can see we've got some really nice vignetting going on in our image. Yeah, I won't bring the exposure down that much. And I'm zoomed out here so I can see the image as a whole, which really does help out. Okay, now let's go ahead and close our filter out. We're going to just go back to fit so I can see my image as a whole, and already we're looking really good. So the next thing we're going to do is add a little bit of color to the highlights and shadows in this image. So we're going to scroll down here, there we go, until we get to our split toning dialog. Now here's where we're going to pump up the saturation, okay, and we can start adding colors into our highlights and our shadows. So you want to go ahead and bring up your saturation a little bit and then change your hue, there we go, to anything you want. Basically, this is the Lomo effect, so there's no like right or wrong here. And I'm going to focus around our yellows here. So I want a little bit of a yellow-orange, and then after you've got your hue dialed in, this is when you want to kind of like bring your exposure in. You can go like super intense with it, with a, you know, really strong saturation, or you can go a little more subtle. I'm going to go a little bit more subtle with this one. Okay, next we're going to do our shadows, and in this case I'm going to add like a bit of a blue color into our shadows and work on our saturation there as well. All right, cool. So we've added color to our highlights and our shadows, and we've created vignetting with both a radial and a graduated filter. So now it's time to add what? Even more vignetting. I'll show you guys how to do it. So to add even more vignetting, we're going to go all the way down here to the very bottom. All right, and we're going to see our effects. And here we've got post-crop vignetting. So I'm going to just take this. If we drag this to the right, it's going to add a lightning effect, which is interesting. This would be like a light leak type of effect. But in this case, I'm going to just drag it down to the left just a little bit. We have options to change our midpoint and our roundness and the feathering. So we'll bring the roundness up and our feathering up as well. Now, in this case, because we are like basically trying to replicate the effects of an older film camera, we're going to add a little bit of grain, which is going to kind of simulate grain that would be, there we go. Let's just go to a 1:1. So you can see here, we're adding this grain, which is basically going to simulate the grain that would have been visible on an older film style camera. All right, and there we go. A little bit of grain, looks really, really good. Okay, now to finish this image off, what we're going to be doing is adding some distortion, again, because we want it to look sharp in the middle, but a little bit distorted on the edges. And thankfully, we can do that in Lightroom as well. So to add distortion, we're going to go right up here to where we see our lens correction, and I'm going to click on manual. Okay, and here we have a distortion slider. Hey, look at that. So if you click and drag this to the right, we're going to distort one way, and to the left, we're going to distort in another way. Now, another thing that you can do is hit constrain crop, because you can see if I drag this to the right, yeah, we are distorted and that looks really cool, but now we have lost all this information up there. It just looks white and kind of weird. Now, if you hit constrain crop, what it does is it kind of zooms it in as it distorts a little bit as well. So this is kind of like what we actually want to do. So the amount of distortion you decide you want to include here is totally up to you. Now, you can just go back in time a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and hit constrain crop and just distort a little bit. I'm not going to go too far with it, but just a little bit of distortion really does help out. Okay guys, we're almost done. The last thing we're going to do is blur our edges just a little bit to make it look even more sharp in the center. So I'm going to grab our radial filter here. Let's go ahead and click there again. We're going to click in the center and drag outwards. There we go. Looks great. And I want to basically take our clarity slider and drag this to the left. Now, a lot of the time you're adding clarity in Lightroom because it gives the image a little bit more pump. We're going to take this and drag this out to the left, and you can see it's affecting the center of our image. So again, what we want to do is just make sure we click on invert mask, and you can see basically it takes away clarity from the edges of the photo. So the center still looks sharp, but the edges are no longer sharp, which is exactly what we want to do. And you know what? I'm going to bump up the saturation there as well, just for fun. This is so fun that we can create these type of effects. So let's go ahead and take a look at our before and after. What we're going to do, I'm going to scroll all the way down to the very bottom to where we imported it. There we go. That's our before, and go all the way up in our history. And here's our after, which is incredibly cool. All right, guys, now let's go ahead and create a preset so we can get back to this at any point in time. And you can download this preset on phlearn.com. Just follow the link in the description right down below. So to create our preset, I'm going to click on this plus icon here in my preset menu. We're going to go to folder, and I'm going to go to a new folder and just call this Lomo. There we go. And I'm going to name this preset Lomo 1. Because we can go in here and do a bunch of different variations. So we have preset Lomo 1, and I want to make sure that I hit check all so that all of these settings are going to be applied the next time I want to basically edit an image. So let's go ahead and hit create there. And there we go. We've got Lomo and Lomo 1. So let's say we take this image and we're going all the way back to the very beginning. Okay, and we're like, okay, cool, I want this image to look Lomo affected. It's not a word. Just hit the develop tab, go up to your preset and click on Lomo, and that's all you have to do. So no easier way to get a lomography effect on your photos in Lightroom. So you guys can download this Lomo preset on phlearn.com. All you have to do to load it, just go into Lightroom, into your preset dialog, just right click on a folder and go down to import. And then after you've downloaded it, just click on lomo1.lr template, what we just saved here, and hit import, and it's going to import it, and then just click there and you're good to go. Okay guys, that's how we create our Lomo effect in Lightroom. And don't forget, you can download this image and the preset on phlearn.com. Just follow the link in the description right down below. And share your work, because I want to see what you do with this Lomo effect. You can do so many cool things in Lightroom. We want to see it. Just put your images on phlearn.com. Thanks so much for watching. I'll phlearn you later. Bye everyone. Lomo, Lomo, Lomo. You are my Lomo. Whew, it is hot. What do you think? Cool.